An alleged militia targets FEMA workers. Police foil a potential third assassination attempt on Donald Trump, and Kamala Harris tries locking up the black male vote, which is hard considering her record of locking up black males. That and more on this week's America Uncovered headlines. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. The Food and Drug Administration announced shortages of 3 types of IV fluids produced in a North Carolina plant that was temporarily shut down due to flooding from Hurricane Helene. This prompted hospitals nationwide to postpone elective surgeries. The plant, Baxter International, is importing fluids to try and help operations get back up and running. Now, this is terrible, but on the bright side, if patients want to go to a medical facility and have fluids injected into their veins, they could always head over to one of those safe injection sites. Fentanyl is hydrating, right? I bet there's tons of electrolytes in heroin. Speaking of Hurricane Helene in North Carolina, FEMA temporarily paused door-to-door aid in parts of North Carolina after reports that an armed militia was threatening its workers. But it quickly resumed normal operation after it turned out that the threat wasn't as serious as they initially thought. An official with the U.S. Forestry Service reported the threat in an email to federal responders, which said that the National Guard had encountered 2 trucks of armed militia saying they were out hunting FEMA. But the National Guard later said it had no reports of our soldiers or airmen encountering any armed militia, any threats, and any type of combatants. So the situation got blown out of proportion by federal agencies, basically playing a giant game of telephone. So what really happened? Well, police received a call about a single guy with some guns who had made a comment about possibly harming FEMA workers. He was arrested. Problem solved. FEMA's been put in a spotlight after Hurricane Helene and received a lot of controversy, specifically over how much of their funding is being used to help illegal immigrants and their implementation of DEI. For deep dives into those topics, you can check out these videos we did, linked below. Still, out of all the government organizations, why would anyone go after the one that manages emergencies? Especially when the DMV exists. That place is such a disaster, I'm shocked FEMA hasn't come in and try and offer assistance. Of course, whenever someone does something violent or irrational, it leads to moments of unity where both sides come together to decide how they can help prevent such incidents from occurring in the future. I was just kidding. It immediately became a blame game with accusations of misinformation. Uh-oh. Did I just say misinformation? That means it's T-3, 2, 1 before... Yep, there it is. Donald Trump is blamed. And along with Trump, so is MAGA, and by extension, the entire Republican Party. Because why let a disaster go to waste when you can score political points? Or in this case, a post-disaster disaster. I'm sure that won't create a cycle that'll just keep making disasters breed more disasters, like, well, I was going to say a Russian nesting doll of disasters, but if I say Russia, then it's T-3, 2, 1 before... Yep, there it is. Trump is accused of being a Russian puppet again. The White House has released a medical report on Vice President Kamala Harris that says she's in excellent health and physically and mentally fit to serve as president. Hey, finally! A story about American politics that doesn't immediately get tied to Donald Trump. How refreshing. Oh, never mind. Harris used the release of her medical reports to raise questions about Trump's health and dared him to release the results of a physical exam. So it's business as usual with Trump, the eternal center of attention, just the way he likes it. Questions about Trump's health have spread to media, with NBC News' Kristen Welker telling Speaker of the House Mike Johnson that Trump should release his cholesterol levels. I get worrying about the cholesterol levels of an elderly man, but considering Trump's relentless campaign schedule and rally performances, and the fact that he literally dodged a bullet by seconds, I don't think we have much to worry about in the way of Trump's health. As it turns out, McDonald's and Diet Coke is the official nutrition plan of peak human performance. Speaking of Trump assassination attempts, stop me if you've heard this one before. An armed man was arrested near a Trump rally in Coachella Valley, California, over concerns he was attempting to assassinate the former president. I'm pretty sure if Trump survives a few more of these alleged attempts, he gets a free ice cream, which would probably make President Biden a little jealous. The man, Vem Miller, was released on a mere $5,000 bail, despite the local sheriff insisting that it was an assassination attempt. What? Is attempted murder only a misdemeanor in California now? Actually, that tracks. Miller was caught at a police checkpoint trying to enter the rally and was found with what police are calling a fake press pass and fake passports and driver's licenses. Miller insists they are not fake, saying that as an Armenian, he just uses multiple names to avoid persecution while traveling in some parts of the world. He also had 2 firearms and was driving an unregistered car. He was only arrested on gun charges, which is why his bail was so light. Miller told Fox News that the claims against him are false and that he's all in on supporting Donald Trump and is 100% a fan. The Trump campaign has said they don't believe this was an assassination attempt on Trump. So, this wasn't an assassination attempt so much as a man being stopped and accused of plotting an assassination attempt. But surely he wasn't going to do anything like that. After all, he's a fan, and fans of celebrities would never kill them. Just ask Selena. And after the break, what do the polls tell us? Welcome back. We're just over 2 weeks away from Election Day. For those of you who haven't decided who you're voting for yet, all 6 of you, here's some interesting information. 2/3 of economists polled by the Wall Street Journal say inflation and deficits would be worse under Trump than Harris. Meanwhile, in a Wall Street Journal poll conducted in swing states, voters say Trump would do a better job handling Israel and Ukraine's wars. But to many, the economy is the most important issue. So if these economists are to be believed, surely that would mean Harris will win, right? If that's the priority? Well, as of right now, Trump is currently polling better than he was against Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden. So Trump will win, right? Yeah, if I were a betting man, I would still stay miles away from this one. After all, the 2016 election polls missed their mark and predicted Hillary to win, so who's to say that any of these polls are reliable? So what did we learn here? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Except maybe not to be so invested in polls, because in the end, they're just content for the 24/7 media's gaping maw that don't prove anything and just further increase your anxiety. 2 weeks from now can't come fast enough. But speaking of endless content for the 24/7 media machine, Kamala Harris was interviewed by Fox News' Bret Baier, where she impressed with how she was able to pivot to Donald Trump on everything.
They say the country is on the wrong track. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
Nothing makes me feel more confident about the future of our country than when the question both candidates receive most often is, what are you talking about? You know, Harris may have been better served in this interview plagiarizing again. And I say again because conservative activist Christopher Rufo has accused Kamala Harris of plagiarism in a criminal justice book she co-authored in 2009. Rufo says at least a dozen sections were plagiarized from the Associated Press, John Jay College of Criminal Justice, Wikipedia, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Urban Institute. This could be devastating for Harris's campaign, as we've seen before with none other than her boss, current President Joe Biden. I know, crazy, right? I also forgot he's still president. Biden first ran for president in 1988 during the Democratic primaries, but his campaign was derailed because of multiple instances of plagiarism he admitted to. So could this plagiarism story ruin Harris's presidential dreams? Not likely. First, she hasn't admitted to it. And second, even if she did, she's the official Democratic candidate, not one of many in the primaries. Because there weren't any primaries. She was just anointed. Isn't oligarchy fun? And American politics are so much more divided these days that most Democrats won't care if she plagiarized in a book from 15 years ago. Many wouldn't even care if she shot a man in the middle of Fifth Avenue as long as she stops the man who says he could still maintain support after shooting a man in the middle of Fifth Avenue from becoming president again. And speaking of Trump, again, I'm getting almost as good at pivoting to Trump as Harris. Trump joined Fox News' Harris Faulkner for a town hall with only women in the audience. Trump's looking for more broad appeal, and hopefully someone told him not to call women broads anymore. Trump is hoping to win female voters over, as Kamala Harris leads with women in most swing states, according to polls, whatever those are worth, which isn't much. I don't know why women wouldn't support Trump. You'd think his manner of speaking has a certain way of grabbing them, though I can't say where it grabs them without getting demonetized. Trump isn't the only presidential candidate worried about losing support with certain voter demographics, though. Kamala Harris is laying out new plans to empower black men by voting to legalize weed, protect crypto, and targeting them with other economic proposals. She's targeting black men? Wait, did she get her old California district attorney job back? Harris is doing this because she's showing lackluster support among black voters, according to polls, whatever those are worth, which isn't much. Obama tried rallying support among black male voters, but his comments angered many, even some Democrats.
We have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. That seems to be more pronounced with the brothers.
The Black Men for Trump Advisory Board criticized Obama, calling his pitch insulting and the worst kind of identity politics, which is ridiculous. That isn't the worst kind of identity politics. This is.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump and you ain't black.
Several years later, and that statement is still somehow a bigger disaster than the DMV. Somebody call FEMA. But you know what isn't a disaster? This video that I'd love to show you. And the algorithm knows it too. It's in your brain. Don't think anything negative about it. It'll know. An America Uncovered wouldn't exist without your support. Click that orange button to support the show on Patreon. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.